Touchline takes.
In certain terms, a better combination than Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. This world class.
Touchline takes podcast.
Excuse me for being excited, people.
Welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful episode of Touchline Takes that we got for you here. I am joined by the ever-present Cameron Reed, who's joining me today from the Great White North, the great state of Maine. Cameron, thank you for taking your time to join me today. I know you've been traveling, but we wanted to get out what the people wanted, and what they wanted was another podcast.
That's true. And I'm probably sounding a little different, and that's because I didn't bring my mic. I probably should have. Very compact, could have fit right in a suitcase or a backpack, but you're just gonna have to deal with some subpar audio from me today. But I think, Carl, we're gonna do a little USL Championship playoff review, a couple other little USL announcements.
USL playoffs.
Not too much going on in other news. We do have a little bit of a NWSL recap to go through. But yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. We had to do this. You know, we've got the USL Championship final coming up this Sunday. That is the 28th. So, we got a lot of excitement in the air, and we gotta capitalize on that. So if you're here and you're listening, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I don't know what we're going to do in the off season. Once the NISA season ends and once the USL season ends, is there going to be, there's always stuff to talk about. There's always drama going on and things, we can kind of look to the future a little bit of what next season's going to be like. But what a fun and exciting year it's been in, lower league soccer in the U.S., from NISA to the USL. Coming out of the pandemic, I think a lot of people, including us, kind of had, our worries, our doubts of what things were going to look like this year. And I think we're all very pleasantly surprised on how these seasons worked out.
I totally agree. I think we've just continued to see growth, which is a surprise to us. And it's a surprise in the sense that we thought this pandemic was going to hurt this league more. And I think we're very happy to see that does not seem to be the case. And in fact, I think we were just talking about it, but the USL finally has a video game that they're going to be in. Now, it's not FIFA. It is Konami's eFootball, previously known as Pro Evolution Soccer.
Right.
But yeah, the USL is going to be in it, man. It's going to be fully licensed. As far as I know, Konami usually does a pretty good job of doing player modeling and stadiums as well. So, that means we should have all the USL Championship stadiums available to play in fairly soon. So that's really exciting, man.
It's so exciting. And before we jumped on this podcast, of course, I was playing the new Football Manager, and I always find it so weird that in Football Manager, I can, send people out on loan to Miami FC, Tampa Bay Rowdies, but I can never play them. I could create them and kind of throw them in the MLS, but it's just not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think one season I started, I'm a coach in the Canadian Premier League. And, I'm sending kids out on loan to Tampa Bay. I'm grabbing kids from Louisville. And, it's really exciting. But now to actually get your hands, on them and actually play them and build the team, build the squad, that's the shit I like. That's what I love the most about FIFA, about PES, or eFootball, sorry. And about Football Manager. It's just kind of that building, that starting from scratch, building something up, and none of that.
You kind of build your own story in your head as you're going.
Exactly.
About what's going on.
I'll be walking around the house, be telling my wife, "Call me Michael." That's what I am in Football Manager. You're gonna call me Michael now.
Yeah. They call me Big Mike. Actually, all the whole fans.
On the touchline, I'm Big Mike.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome news, man. And it sounds like they got a pretty good deal with it too. That it's another financial thing to help with the USL and help the sport grow. And not just here in the US. eFootball is huge overseas. It's huge, over in Japan and China. It's huge in South America.
Right.
This is really going to allow the league and to grow as a whole, for people to be like, oh, there's lower leagues in the United States. Like, let me check it out. Let me check out the USL. Maybe they'll find this podcast and they'll be like, hey, whoa, they talk about lower league soccer on this podcast. But it's a lot of awesome things. It's something to keep an eye on too, because I know they were in talks with FIFA as well. So we'll have to see sort of if FIFA sees the success, if EA Sports or whoever does the FIFA games now next year kind of slides right in.
Yeah, there's a little talk on who's going to hold those rights shortly here, so that'll be interesting. I highly doubt EA Sports would give up their cash cow, but
oh my goodness, it's the biggest cash cow for them. You have Madden, and Madden's huge like here and stuff, but like FIFA worldwide is probably by far one of the biggest games, most widely recognized and played games. So
I just want you guys to know right now that me and Carl do these on a video call. We haven't really been posting the videos, but right now his video has just been unable to focus for like the last 5 minutes.
Like
so I'm just looking at the most blurry version of Carl I've ever seen.
I'm like sitting here and I'm waving in front of the camera while I'm talking and while he's talking, trying to get this thing to focus. And this is a HD 1080p camera. It's supposed to be, and this thing can't even focus. This thing's supposed to make me look 10 times better than I actually look.
Well,
and
now it's making you much better because we don't have to see you in 1080p.
All right, folks, let's get to USL action before Cameron starts bullying me anymore.
Well, and actually, exactly when he made that clack, the camera was able to focus. So,
look at that.
Here we go.
Here I am.
That's all it needed.
That's all it needed. You just had to make it feel bad, and it was gonna change its mind. But man, what an exciting USL playoffs this has been. If you would have told me, and definitely if you guys listened to our podcast where we made our picks, we probably all saw Tampa Bay coming out of the East. I think both Cameron and I kind of decided it was either Louisville. I had Louisville. And in all honesty, if we want to dive into this, Louisville should have won that match because we'll get into this later on. But I don't think any of us saw Orange County coming out of the West. And no disrespect to Orange County Soccer Club because, we've had Oliver Weiss on here. We've had their GM. Shout out Oliver, shout out that club because, he was really our first big interview last year, almost a year ago now.
Almost,
that we had him on this podcast, and it'll be fun to push that out again and maybe try to get him on again, even if,
maybe. If you'll have us, Oliver.
If you have us, I know the success now. It's just, the success you guys have had, the success we have had. That's, it'll be fun to get back together. But yeah, I didn't see it. And I think, for me, I picked El Paso. Obviously, unfortunately, great season they had, but, just couldn't put it together against Oakland. But man, Orange County, and even in the finals, Orange County and, oh my goodness, holy cow.
In the finals of the Western Conference?
Yeah.
San Antonio.
San Antonio, that's right.
Yeah.
I knew it was another Texas team I couldn't remember, but.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
I guess we should kind of talk about how we got here. So, yeah, when the final is on the 28th this Sunday, Tampa Bay versus Orange County Soccer Club. But how did we get here? So we kind of covered I guess it would be the preliminary round of the playoffs. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just calling the semis, quarters, what have you. But the first round of the playoffs, me and Carl were thoroughly surprised by most every match. We had to collect our thoughts and kind of reacclimate ourselves to where the playoffs were at. So now that we've been able to do so, we can take a look back at how the quarterfinals went. So, or actually, not the quarterfinals, the semi. We'll just call them the semis. There are 4 games.
The semis of the Western Eastern.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. So we had Tampa Bay, Birmingham, San Antonio, RGV, Louisville, Charlotte Independence, Orange County, Oakland Roots. So let's dive right in with the first match. We had Tampa Bay Rowdies playing Birmingham Legion, coming off a very convincing win against Tulsa. Tampa Bay Rowdies came out with just one goal, which squeaked away a win for them. 1-over Birmingham. The goal was scored in the 57th minute. Fairly uneventful game compared to the prior week and the week after for Tampa Bay.
Right.
Fairly low shots from both teams, 10-6. Tampa Bay, Birmingham, respectively, even possession. So they were able to make their way on through. In a little bit more contentious game, we had Louisville, and they were up against Miami. Or sorry, not Miami. That was last round. Charlotte, Independence. And they eked out a goal in the 89th minute against Charlotte. Cameron Lancaster came up to the spot for a penalty after what was like, I've watched this a couple different times now, the way they got the penalty, and it was a handball in the box. It was a guy, to kind of describe it for you, one of their defenders, I forget who exactly it was at the time, but they slid out they were inside the 18 and they slid. They kind of caught the ball in the process under their arm, and the hand was just like, it was completely around the ball. So you can't really not call a penalty in that situation. So Louisville was able to convert, not have to go to extra time, and they were on through. And let's see, who should we go after that, Carl?
Go after Orange County.
Okay.
Orange County, Oakland Roots. Even possession, kind of an even game, you know what I mean? And it showed that way because they went right to penalties, which again, we talked about here. We were very hard on the Oakland Roots early on in the season because of all the sort of chaos that was happening. But they looked good. They got stronger as the season went on, and that showed in the playoffs, beating El Paso at El Paso, who had a long winning streak going there. And then taking Orange County to penalties. Orange County won 6-5. Only one yellow in the game, so it wasn't really that physical of the game, or the ref just was letting them play.
No. Yeah, there were quite a few fouls throughout the playoffs so far. I mean, I think I totaled up as like 48 fouls for this game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that only one yellow came of that is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think comparatively, there's another game. Oh, it was the Louisville-Charlotte game. There were 7 yellows out of that, and Charlotte had 25 fouls and 7 yellows. So, yeah, not great. But
a little bit of a different.
Orange County pulled it off against its in-state rival there, and hey, like we said, credit to Oakland Roots for making it as far as they did after what was a pretty eventful start to their season. And then we're going to Texas, the good old Texas matchup. San Antonio ended up with 3 goals. Santiago Pino in the 24th and the 55th minute, and Nathan Fogaka in the 61st minute. Rio Grande Valley was able to pull out 1, but that wasn't enough in the 69th minute.
Nice.
Rio Grande, though, did hold much higher possession, and that was pretty evident throughout the game, but just were not able to capitalize on it. They had 67% possession, but more shots still came from San Antonio, so San Antonio was able to convert their opportunities a little bit better, I would say.
Yeah, definitely on the counterattack, and San Antonio kind of used that counterattack basically all season. It seemed like a lot of times they would give up that possession just to try to hit on the counter, and it worked out that game, worked out, the game before as well to get to that point. So on to the finals, or the semifinals, whatever you want to call it, but the Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals, the semifinals of the USL Championship. 2 very, very exciting games that I think, just kind of drove home the fact of how much sort of this league has grown and the competitiveness of the league. You don't have, we love NISA, we love it very much, but always seeing Detroit City FC win, it gets kind of boring when the same team's winning. To have a league where you don't know who's going to win and, is really exciting. But Cameron, you want to talk about this Tampa Bay game? Because
sure,
that was
I was actually able to catch, so after they went down 2-0, pretty early on, you got 2 goals from Lou, in the 23rd minute. The 23rd was unfortunately an own goal from Forrest Lasso. So I was kind of catching these things on my phone, like just the notifications. I was like, oh no, all right. Well, I'm gonna try to catch it, at least see if anything happens. So I was sitting in a bar watching it on my phone on good old ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus, shout out.
we'll plug them, even though they don't need to be plugged. But it's so cheap. You can watch so much soccer. So if you're looking for a way to get into streaming a little soccer, you've got
That's it.
11 Sports, which is just like smaller teams from all over the world, and that's free. So definitely recommend that. Or ESPN Plus if you want a little bit of a higher production value. You can see USL Championship, Serie A.
No, not Serie A.
Not
Serie A is
anymore.
Paramount.
They've been moving them all around, but
The Dutch league.
Yep.
They show some EFL Championship games.
I think they've been showing some Scottish Premier League. If I remember
Scottish
correctly.
Premier League every
Yeah.
now and then. La Liga. They have La Liga now.
La Liga. But yeah, I'll try not to get too off track here. So I was watching that game and was able to witness Lucky Makasana score in the 83rd minute and the 90th plus some stoppage time, which is a little up for debate since it was maybe a little over what was allocated. But hey, great team play on that equalizer. There was so many attempts there, and then the fact that they were finally able to put it in was electric. There's plenty of footage out there that you can find on Twitter. I think we may have retweeted some of it. I'm not sure, but we can definitely get to that. But yeah, and then they did go to extra time, and they were able to pull off the winner in the 102nd minute, thanks to Steven Dos Santos. So incredible game. 58% possession from Tampa, 25 shots from Tampa to Louisville's 10. So I think that just goes to show that was sort of how a lot of their goals happened, was just pumping in shots, peppering the goal.
It got to the point, I think Louisville was just, obviously they were exhausted. You get that late in the game, you give up 2 goals in the 83rd and the 96th minute. You could tell, in how deflated they were after giving up that equalizer in that time. And you just knew that even in extra time, either they had to go to penalties or they're going to lose. They just,
You had home field advantage. And, I do want to say it might be a little bit of karma because there was a couple tweets that came probably earlier in the week, and I think it was maybe Wednesday. This guy was posting, "Hey, I'm selling extra tickets for the Tampa Bay Lou game," and they bought them in the supporters section, and they were a Louisville fan, and they were way upcharging over what the cost of it was. I think what ended up happening was Tampa revoked the tickets and gave them their money back and then put them back out there. Because it was just such a stupid thing. It's dude, don't just screw people over and try to make a quick buck. I mean, I know that happens, but this is lower league soccer. Do we really need to be doing that in lower league soccer here?
No, you don't need to be doing it in any sort of soccer sport. But you do see it sometimes, and I'm glad Tampa Bay, the organization, kind of took that step in, for the fans. But Tampa Bay, who are they facing? Again, Orange County. Just think about 2 games in a row. They go to penalties, man. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And
I meant to bring that up, but that's crazy that they
2
that's a
games
lot
in
to
a
go
row.
through.
And I mean, you just sort of think of the odds of that, right? You're going through the playoffs and you go to penalties. Did they go to penalties? They didn't go to penalties the first game. They beat, oh my God.
Who are you talking about?
Orange County. Who did they beat the first game?
Let's see. They played Colorado Springs. No, they did not go to penalties.
They didn't. I didn't think so. But still, 1-0, still 2 games in a row.
Phoenix Rising did. Phoenix Rising in RTP.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. So, they, Ronaldo, oh my goodness, I was practicing this name, Damas, Ronaldo Damas, I think it is, the Haitian, national, that Orange County actually signed this year, scored 16 goals for them on the season. What a big signing he has been. Actually, fun fact, he was the USL League One Golden Boot winner in 2019 with North Texas. He was in the FC Dallas Academy.
That pipeline,
man. I'm telling you, basically him and, you have the Golden Boot winner in North Texas SC in USL League One in 2019. You also have Ricardo Pepe playing for North Texas in League One in 2019. And you just think of, that talent on the field there.
That's
really
the one team I am a little disappointed that it's not going to be playing in USL in the future because of the MLS lower league I'm hoping some organizations try to get around that when they realize that the competition is not going to be the same for their development.
Other teams aren't going to care. You know what I mean? Like North Texas, I mean, that pipeline of Texas to begin with has been fantastic. You know, I think a lot of us were sort of doubting San Antonio this playoffs, and they made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
And, you know, you had El Paso, you had RGV, you had San Antonio, you had, my goodness, who else do you have there in Texas? Is that
El Paso, RGV, San Antonio, Austin Bold, technically, but
Austin
who knows
Bold.
what's happening with them.
But still, it's just a fun pipeline, and so that will be unfortunate. Hopefully they do realize and say, hey, none of these kids are going to grow if they're just playing against, you know, other MLS development squads who really, you know, who some of them, I shouldn't say all of them, but who some of them really
Maybe you'll see a lot more loanees, you know, going up to the USL Championship. I don't think they'll be filling the squads by any means. I think, you know, they'll have to work harder to break into the first team and they may have had to, you know, 3-4 years ago when USL was sort of not in the same place that it is now. But the Tampa Bay Rowdies, Orange County, Sunday, November 28th. I will be there. I will actually be there.
Touchline Takes will be there.
Yeah. I bought tickets for kind of the section a little ways back from the supporter section. I am bringing my dad. Hey, Dad, you want to go see soccer?
Papa Reed.
So he's going. He was very quick to answer yes. So I'm taking my dad to show him a little USL action.
That'll be fun. Ron will love it. He'll absolutely love it.
He'll have a good time. I had to change my flight around because I was going to fly back later, but when I found out they won and it was going to be in Tampa, I was like, oh.
So guys, make sure to watch the game because when that final whistle blows, Cameron's going to be running across the field shirtless.
Yep.
We've already made a bet. We've already planned this out, and he's going to paint on his back. Listen to Touchline Takes. And he's going to sprint across the field. That would actually be a
really good stunt if I had the balls to do that.
Right. Touchline Takes co-host Cameron Reed arrested after streaking onto field after USL Championship game. Caught on ESPN.
It reminds me about a couple years ago. I think it was the Liverpool Madrid. It might have been Liverpool Tottenham when there was a girl who ran onto the field in this I think it was advertising a porn website, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, fantastic. We could do that too. I tried to forget the Liverpool Tottenham Champions League final. So I don't know if there's that one. But I'll trust you to believe it was one of those.
Yeah, Carl has deleted that memory from his internal hard drive.
Please don't bring it up. We're talking about such great things, and now I'm just depressed.
Yeah. All right. Well, so, let's talk about something for some people that I guess deserve a little praise. So USL Championship did announce their all league first team. I believe the second team as well and League One teams, but we're just going to kind of go over the championship all league first team for fun. So no surprise to see Santi Moore, Sebastian Guenzati, and Haji Berry up top for them. Haji Berry, as we've mentioned, just went off this season for Colorado.
25 goals. 25 goals. Man. Are you kidding me?
Tied the single season record, I think.
I think he broke it.
Did he break it?
Oh, no, he did equal it. Sorry. The 25 was the record. And it was the Switchbacks' first playoff berth since 2016. So this guy basically single-handedly, helped carry Colorado Springs Switchbacks in that new stadium. And, we've raved about this stadium on this podcast because it's so amazing. I am a little hurt that, and I think I've seen stuff around that Ronaldo Damas wasn't included on this list. We had 16 goals. I guess it's kind of hard, though, because you do have, Sebastian who, 21 goals.
Even Cameron Lancaster wasn't included in the first team, and with 21 goals, Kyle Murphy with 21 from Memphis. And Neko Brett with 18 from Birmingham. So
just think about that. How many strikers and forwards were left out of this team because of the talent in the USL Championship? You look at all these goals scored, and it's not for a lack of defending. You have some pretty damn good defenders and goalkeepers in the USL Championship. And that was, I think, proven as well when El Paso's goalkeeper, Logan... I can't remember his last name, but he got called up to, I think it was Portland for a couple games this MLS season and had like 2 back-to-back shutouts, like saved 2 penalties in an MLS game. Like, and then he went, Logan Ketter. That's it. And he went back down to El Paso. They had the success there. But, like, it's just impressive to see. Like, anybody who calls the USL Championship, like, bad soccer or boring soccer really does. I don't know what they're watching.
Right. I mean, they're producing talent on both ends. Like, it's not like there's only one side to the coin in USL. I mean, that has kind of been, it's been a complaint that, like, we produce these guys who look like they're good attackers because the defenses are really bad domestically here. But I think that's starting to get shored up a little bit. I mean, we've always been good at producing goalkeepers. And, we're talking Orange County earlier, so we might as well mention, like, Aaron Cervantes and his transfer to Rangers. Yeah.
How about Jonathan Gomez, defender on the USL All-League first team? Where's Jonathan Gomez going? He's going to La Liga. And you know what I mean? An 18-year-old from Louisville City, from the USL Championship, going to La Liga. Like, like 5 years ago, did we think like something like this would be possible in the USL?
No, man. Yeah, he's going to Real Sociedad. I mean, it's wild seeing this, and like even Pepe, who like, sure, yeah, he's played, a little bit of MLS now, but like we're seeing big Premier League clubs look for him, and he spent most of his time with North Texas so far. So
that's where he had his breakout. You know what I mean? Like it's the talent is really growing there. The talent is there now. These clubs, and it's not just, the USL Championship. It's USL League One, USL League Two. There's talent throughout all these leagues. There's a good pipeline there that these clubs and these organizations have established. And I think that gets lost on people. I think people put those blinders up here in the U.S. sometimes and think of, MLS. Nothing against MLS. They've had their own success. They've had their own growth. It's actually positive success and positive growth, which I think for the first time we're actually kind of taken aback and surprised by that. But
and I mean, like, you can even, so I went down, I know we weren't going to talk about it too much, but the All League second team's also available. You dive into that, like, we mentioned players like Kyle Murphy and Cameron Lancaster, they made it into the second team, but you've also got Diego Luna from El Paso, who's only 18 years old and making the All League second team after a great little season at El Paso Locomotive, where I believe he scored about 10 goals. I don't know if they have it there, but
for Diego
9
Luna,
goals, 5 assists, 18.
For Diego Luna too, which is even more impressive, he was playing on the U.S. men's national under 19,
under 20 team,
under 20, under 20 team, and he scored a goal in his first start against Mexico. You know what I mean? So like, again,
and it also, I think it's another good indication of what purpose the USL serves, because he did play in the San Jose Earthquakes Academy. He also was in the Barcelona Residence Academy. I believe the one out in Arizona.
I think so too, yeah.
But then, it's like he found his place and his start in El Paso. And it just goes to show that, like, we need this structure for it to truly find every gem that's out there.
That's the thing. Like, you need this lower league structure from, USL, from NISA to be able to grow these players, because a lot of these players are going to get passed over, unfortunately, in this country. And that's a huge shame on the development of soccer, on American soccer talent. And I really think, I said, but over the last 5 years, this country, and I don't know if it was a look in your mirror moment, stemming from not qualifying for the World Cup, that people started, organizations started to look more to those grassroots kind of talent and campaign. But, even from an organization standpoint, like, it's a big country with a lot of athletic players, with a lot of athletic people who love the game of soccer. And now is a time, kind of the generation for them to get their chance. And I think you're not just seeing that in the U.S., you're seeing that in Canada. And it's really awesome, man.
And, I think one thing that we've talked about, and we kind of spoke with Peter Wild about it a little bit, is that the necessary increase in clubs looking to pay solidarity payments to these youth teams that are developing that talent. I mean, it's impossible for all these pro clubs to be looking at every, metro area, every center of population to find the talent. So you need a network of youth clubs out there that are, stable, that are getting funds for, what they're doing. We cannot continue the system where parents are paying out the nose to have their kid go play soccer, which then just on that basis already limits the pool of players who can participate. But I think when these clubs are doing really good work, they deserve to be well compensated for it so that they can continue to grow and provide those opportunities to more and more kids. So yeah,
exactly.
That's the growth of the USL. The influx of talented youth players, the talent that we have that, may be a little older than a youth player as well. So we're really looking forward to this final match, and it's been a great USL season.
For sure. I'm really excited. It's kind of, it's the final, but it's the cherry on the top, right? Like it's, a USL season that I think has really showcased its growth as a league, and its potential of where it's going to grow after this.
Yeah, and we should mention that we didn't really talk about it too much. It was not, unfortunately, as prevalent in these last couple episodes, but USL League One also did round up their season. Union Omaha. The Crown.
Omaha, Nebraska. Who would have thought?
Over Greenville. Yeah.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Hotbed of soccer.
Hotbed of soccer in Omaha, Nebraska. They play right next to a cornfield. It's just like, again, like you can find talent, you can find excitement around this sport wherever you look in this country. Every single corner in the Midwest, in the West, the Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, in Alaska, in Hawaii, like wherever you look, there is excitement about this sport in this country, and it's really it's a well that is just beginning, I feel like, to be tapped. And who knows, hopefully we don't run the well dry, but like I feel like there's a lot of good stuff underneath there that
for sure
we're going to start seeing.
And I think even one thing that I did want to bring up before we move on is that let me see if I can find this real quick. But I believe the playoff attendance is way up. And we're comparing from 2019. 2020 is not a great comparison.
No.
I saw something like 20% higher than 2019 already. Like, we haven't even had the final match, and we're already 20% over that level. So, honestly, it's pretty incredible. I can't find it. I'm probably not going to find it. But, yeah. Well, Carl, what else do we have on the docket? NWSL doing more sketchy stuff. Hey, awesome to see a full crowd at Lynn Family Park in Louisville for the Spirit to take home their championship. But we also heard some news recently about Chicago.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it was Chicago in the final. They were that close for winning. They're up 1-0 until the 67th minute, and then lost it. Kelly O'Hara, of course, scored a beautiful goal in extra time for the Washington Spirit. But like, it wasn't, I don't know, 4 days after, that we're talking about abuse allegation scandals within the club, which is just disgusting, man. I mean, it feels like we're really, and I mean, thank goodness we are really starting to clean out the closet with this league.
I hope so. I mean, it's the bad. I think the particularly bad part about this story is that these are not new allegations. These had been provided, I believe, up to 3 or so years ago, maybe 4 now.
The ownership,
to management, and U.S. Soccer did nothing about this guy, Rory Dames. I'm just gonna say his name. I mean, it's out there. And the complaints were of abuse, and they had just gone ignored. And then what I believe was supposed to happen was there was an article that was coming out, and so to kind of play damage control before it even occurred, the club went out and kind of pushed him out. So he's now no longer with the club.
And I mean,
that's not good enough. You can't come out and be like, oh my gosh, this abuse we didn't know. It's like, come on.
And I mean, just so everybody's aware, and I feel like this needs to be said so we can, discuss, like, I don't want to sugarcoat this issue. Some of the allegations are texting players at all hours, asking players to spend significant time at lunches and dinners with him that he said were mandatory, which is just creepy to begin with for a man to do. Joking that an Asian player should be smarter than how she's playing. Commenting to religious players about their holidays, calling a player from Appalachia, trailer trash, comments on players' appearances, withholding family time off from a player due to a performance during a game, and on one instance, allegedly benching a player after she introduced him to her boyfriend. I mean, it's again allegations. But at the same time, these are pretty severe. These are pretty incredible, and I think. Mm-hmm. Again, this is not the only club that we're going to start seeing these things for. And
no, it was the fifth male NWSL coach to resign in 12 months. I mean,
why can't we just have this why the fuck are we hiring male coaches to coach in the NWSL when there are so many more qualified women coaches to do that? There's so many qualified women coaches to coach in the men's leagues, let alone the NWSL.
I was just going to say, there's been enough success and experience on the women's side of U.S. soccer that you're right, they should be coaching more in the men's side of the program too, let alone the NWSL. But yeah, they're going to have to take a good long look at themselves, and hopefully this will, eventually lead to some changes within USSF. But as we've seen,
it's not going to, I mean, if they're reporting these things to the U.S. Soccer Federation and they're not doing shit about it, what changes need to happen? The NWSL, what is it? The chairwoman stepped down, like the club's flipping over, the league's flipping over, the league's turning over. But, when does, this go higher than the NWSL? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I think it's at a certain point, we may start to see it with USL in their Super League. I hope that they handle it much better than this. I mean, these are cover-ups. That's what's been occurring. 100%. And it's just only coming to light now, and people are mad, as they should be. But I'm hoping Super League is seeing this, and they're going, we need to be very careful with how clubs are structured. We need to make sure players have the ability to report these, and there are, there's a framework for how those reports are handled. Like, it should be automatic investigation, and there should be a very clear guideline for if, these are found to be the case, this is what happens, and it should be swift action.
I can't even put myself in the position, like we're two guys talking here about this situation. I feel for these players. I feel for the women that have to play in this league, for these type of men, for these type of coaches. I never can imagine what that's like to go through. And I never can imagine what it's like to report these things, do everything you're supposed to stop this. And having nothing done. As a player, sort of as a female, I can't imagine that, because there's supposed to be, that system in place, that system of trust within the league that, ownership's going to do something about this. And they just never do. Again, this is the fourth instance where, this season that we know about, who knows what the offseason is going to hold.
These players are not getting paid enough in the NWSL as it is. So, no. I don't know. Maybe the least they could do is have a competent, management staff that takes care of issues like this. But, I guess that's too much to ask. So,
I mean, you're seeing the USL Super League, you're seeing the growth of the leagues over in England, and maybe they have their own issues with management and stuff. But you're going to start seeing, some of the best, female players in the world leave these clubs in the U.S., leave the NWSL to go pursue other opportunities.
It's crazy how we've fumbled the bag, over and over and over on women's club soccer here. And, I think it's, like you said, there's the NWSL has been protected from competition for too long. And I don't think they are in a position like MLS was, where once, you started to see other professional men's leagues, the gap was just pretty much too far. So there's actually a real chance here that whatever, like Super League starting up has a real chance of overtaking the NWSL. And I legitimately, I'm going to say this now, we can look back on it in a couple of years, but I honestly could see some of the clubs, say like North Carolina, or even Racing Louisville, might switch. If they feel like it's a better, things are more streamlined. It's a more competitive, better ecosystem. I could see them legitimately switching back to USL Super League, and maybe at some point USL Super League will apply for Division One sanctioning. We'll see.
It's just incredible. I was reading the statement from Chicago Red Stars, and it's the same generic statement. We as ownership need to do better. We as ownership need to, put a stop to these things and do better ourselves. It's like, when does that just become white noise? You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's just like such a copy and paste, like your lawyers told you to put this out.
Exactly. Like, what does be better mean? Because whatever be better is, these clubs certainly aren't doing it. So, it's unfortunate to see, and it's very unfortunate that, this came out not even 48 hours after a game. That really was a fantastic game. It showcased the talent that we, of players that we have in this league. And it was just unfortunate, man. But again, I'm happy these things are coming out. I'll be even more happy if things start getting done, being done to improve the situation for those players.
Well, in a positive light, let's bring it back to a more positive light. There's some good things going on in women's soccer. The W League keeps putting out the pre-professional USL Women's Soccer League. Keeps putting out notifications on teams that are joining the league. And recently, we just saw 2 come out for Florida. So we've got Tampa Bay United, which recently had a partnership with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, but I don't think that exists anymore. They are joining the women's league, and they already have a USL League 2 team. So that they're trying to really kind of push their club to bigger heights, I guess you could say. And then you got Florida Elite, who is also joining the W League. So that is another, pretty massive youth club that is giving their kids and I guess adults an opportunity to raise their game a little bit higher. So very exciting stuff.
It's very exciting stuff happening, within the W League, within the Super League, as we start to hear more announcements. And I feel like the USL has even more, tricks up its sleeve with either men's or women's soccer.
Are we USL shills?
I think we are, man.
Oh, no. How did this happen?
I don't know where this came from, but it just, we've just sitting here talking about it. I'm like, holy shit, like we've become fanboys.
It's like, there's just enough differences from MLS that I can get behind the structure of it a little bit more.
Yeah.
NISA, I love it and I want it to work, but it's just, there's been some problems this year, and, DCFC leaving is huge. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll definitely provide more updates on that once, we hear anything about next season.
Sure.
But yeah, man, I'd say we done did it. We set out our goal to get this podcast done.
And you sounded great. I mean,
you.
you didn't have your mic. I think this is the first time I've ever sounded better than you on a podcast. And you look great.
Thank you.
My camera is now in focus. It's been in focus since we complained about it.
You're looking real good.
Things went really well, I feel like, this episode, technology-wise.
Yeah.
And I think it went very well content-wise.
This is the review corner for us to talk about how the podcast went. Yeah, so remember when we were talking about the playoffs? I think that was pretty good.
I think it was pretty good.
We went a little fast, but it was good.
But we didn't dwell on it. We talked about the important stats that we needed to discuss. We talked about the important things that sort of, people who maybe didn't watch it or kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And we brought it up again, and we gave them a nice little insight about these 2 clubs that are going to be playing in the championship. And then I think, with the... I think we talked very well about, this pipeline of youth talent we have in American soccer.
That's important.
Because I think people, especially with World Cup qualifiers going in now, I think people are a little like, are we going to qualify? What's the future hold? Because obviously, we're
that's for another podcast. We'll push that one out there a little bit later. That's a whole nother.
And then with the NWSL, I feel like, again, we discussed it. We talked about it from what we're seeing from the outside. For both Cameron and I, we're still trying really hard to get, a different voice, a voice that, might understand the situation a little bit more, better than we can, and discuss it better than we can to you guys, to come on to this podcast.
Yeah. And, just to give you a quick recommendation, I think I've recommended them before. But, we don't have to wait for us to get an interview. There is a really good podcast called Our Cup of Tea. I believe it is 3 ex-players and they do a great job discussing all things women's soccer.
Those ladies are fantastic.
Definitely look into that.
No, they just get, they give you a really good perspective of what's going on. And then you definitely should check them out because they keep me informed, and it's fun listening to them. So, but yeah, man, it's been good. Enjoy the rest of your trip in Maine. Enjoy the game, man. Holy shit. I'm so jealous of you.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be nice and full off the Thanksgiving food. And then I'm going to go jump around and get rid of all those calories. So
perfect. So, guys, if you haven't checked out our other stuff, please, follow us, subscribe to us on whatever sort of platform you're listening on. Review us if you can, if you're on Apple Music. We love those 5 stars. We really try to give to you guys what we think from our perspective that you want to hear. If it isn't what you want to hear,
let us know. We can get back to some
let us know, or just lie to us because I'm a very self-conscious person. So if you tell me it isn't what you want to hear, we might not have an episode for like a month because I'll be crying.
All Carl has asked for Christmas so far is 10 5-star reviews. That's all he wants.
I just want 10 5-star reviews, and if you guys can do that for me, and the other thing,
Christmas Day, that's when you want them all in one day.
Didn't we give a deal if we got to 400 followers on Twitter, we would give something out? Was it 400? Was it 300?
I think we could go 300. Once we get to 300, we'll do a
300. We'll do a nice little giveaway.
A kit thingy. We'll give you a kit.
Or, we can sign a deal that gives us one of our firstborns, if you're looking for a kid.
Or maybe we'll just make some stickers. I don't know, but we'll definitely give away a kit. We are going to make some stickers because those would be super fun to give away.
Fantastic.
They would be given away. We're not making you buy stickers from us. We want to give them to you.
We want to give bumper stickers. We got to make bumper stickers too.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Honk if you're horny for touchline takes.
yeah. All right.
Anyways, guys, again, follow us on social media. Listen to us. Thank you so much for checking us out. We'll be back again, hopefully soon, for another episode of Touchline Takes. Take it easy.
See you later, Carl.